Theories of public opinion. For a long time, European integration was considered a low-salient issue that the public either did not care about or, if they did, trusted the government to handle. This is no longer the case. As the EU is involved in most policy areas, citizens have a more refined set of attitudes towards the EU. Also, as recent events such as Brexit have shown, the citizens' attitudes towards the EU now matters. We will now discuss some general theories of people's attitudes towards politics. The starting point is that all individuals have a set of beliefs, opinions, values and interests which shapes their attitudes or preferences towards politics and the political process. Part of these attitudes have deep historical and cultural roots. Such roots may be in nationality, religion and language, but preferences also stem from economic self-interest, such as whether a policy will increase a person's income. Different individuals and social groups have a different experience and interest. When acted upon, these differences produce a conflict in the political process. The cleavage model developed by Lipset and Rokkan posit that political divisions derive from critical juncture in the development of the political system. At the national level in Europe, the democratic revolutions in the 18th and early 19th century produced a conflict between the church and the state. This laid the ground for a cleavage between liberals and conservatives. The Industrial Revolution in the 19th century divided workers and owners of capital. This created a cleavage between the socialists on the one side against liberalists and conservatives on the other. The Lipset-Rokkan model allows us to conceptualize the social basis of politics at the European level. There are two main cleavages in EU politics: national territorial and transnational social economics. The combination of a common territory, history, mass culture, legal rights and duties, and a national economy constitute a powerful force for attachment to the nation-state. The EU is segmented along national lines. It is within the member state that most of an individual's interaction and experience take place, and it is within the member state that interests and identities are formed. A national territorial cleavage emerges when an issue on the agenda puts individuals from different nations on different sides of the debate. For example, if individuals from one country seem to gain at the expense of individuals from another country. The bailout of Greece may be an example of such an issue. Other issues cross-cut these national divisions. One group of citizens may have more in common with another group in a different member state than with other groups in their own member state. Danish and Irish farmers may have a common interest in defending the common agricultural policy against the interest of Danish and Irish consumers. Transnational cleavages can be mobilized around the traditional social divisions such as class, but can also emerge around newer issues such as postmodernism, age, education and information. An emerging such division might be between the perceived winners of European integration and globalization, the globalists, and those that want to reverse integration and globalization, the nativists, who perceive themselves as losing from these processes. So these ideas might explain why different countries and social groups have different interests in EU politics and a different evaluation of the value of European integration at large. But it does not really explain why attitudes towards the EU and the different aspects of EU policy change over time. In order to explain this, it is useful to take Easton's theory of affective and utilitarian support as a guide. Affective support is the ideological or non-material attachment to our political institutions. Utilitarian support has its basis in an evaluation of whether the institution produces outcome that one benefits from. Easton's idea is that affective support forms the baseline. Some systems have a high level of affective support while others have a low level. Then on the basis of a utilitarian calculation of how well the system promotes one's material interest or policy preference, the overall level of support goes up or down. This process can operate at a national as well as an individual level and may explain why the support of the EU varies across countries, across groups and over time.